Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Let me repeat that because it's worth hearing again. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Many people go around saying, I want, I want, I want, but they're not becoming the kind of person who can have what they want. That's the missing piece. The marketplace pays for value, and you've got to become valuable. Life doesn't respond to your intentions. It responds to your actions, your character, your being. I remember a young man who came to me years ago, a bright fellow full of dreams. He said, Mr. Rohn, I want to be a millionaire. I asked him, are you willing to become a millionaire? Because what you want and what you're willing to become are two different things. He looked puzzled. You see, wanting $1 million is common. Becoming the person who attracts $1 million is uncommon. Let me share something my mentor, Mr. Schoaf, taught me when I was just 25 years old. He said, Jim, if you want to have more, you must become more. Simple philosophy, profound truth. If you want to have more, you must become more. Your income can grow only to the extent that you do. Now, I'm not just talking about money. This principle applies to every aspect of life. Health, relationships, spirituality, everything. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Consider your health for a moment. Many people want to be healthy, but they aren't willing to become the kind of person who makes healthy choices day in and day out. They want the results without the discipline. But life doesn't work that way. The body keeps an impeccable record. It doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you do consistently. The same is true for relationships. I've met countless people who say they want a wonderful marriage, but they aren't willing to become the kind of person who creates and nurtures a wonderful marriage. They want love, respect, and understanding, but they aren't giving love, respect, and understanding. Remember, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. This is why personal development is so crucial. It's the process of becoming. When you work on yourself, your life gets better, not by chance, but by change. Your personal growth precedes your financial growth. Your spiritual growth precedes your ability to serve. Your intellectual growth precedes your ability to solve complex problems. Let me tell you about two salespeople I once knew. They worked for the same company, had the same products, the same territory, the same training. One was making $100,000 a year, the other barely $25,000. What was the difference? Not in what they wanted. They both wanted success. The difference was in who they had become. One had become a student of his craft, constantly learning, growing, developing. The other was just putting in time. One became valuable, the other remained the same. You see, the world doesn't pay you for what you know. It pays you for what you do with what you know. It pays you for who you become with what you know. Knowledge isn't power until it's applied. And when you apply it, you begin to transform who you are and, consequently, what you attract. Now, let's talk about your personal philosophy, because that's where it all starts. Your philosophy determines your attitude. Your attitude determines your actions. Your actions determine your results. And your results determine your lifestyle. It all starts with how you think. If you think success is a matter of luck, you'll wait for it. If you think it's a matter of circumstance, you'll blame your lack of it on your circumstances. But if you understand that success is a matter of personal development, of becoming, you'll take responsibility for your growth. And that's when things begin to change. I want you to write this down. The big challenge of life is to become as valuable as you can become. Because the marketplace only pays extraordinary rewards for extraordinary performance. It doesn't pay much for average, but it pays a lot for excellence. Years ago, I used to ask, how can I make more money? But that was the wrong question. The better question is, how can I become more valuable? When I started focusing on that question, my income started to grow, not by accident, but by design. Think about it. The highest paid people in any field are the ones who bring the most value. The person who solves the biggest problems gets the biggest rewards. The person who serves the most people effectively earns the most money. It's not complicated, but it does require a shift in thinking, from how can I get to how can I become. Now, here's where many people get confused. They think that if they just want something badly enough, if they just visualize it intensely enough, it will come to them. There's some truth to the power of desire and visualization, but they're only part of the equation. The missing piece is becoming. You've got to match your desire with development, your visualization with value creation. Otherwise, you're just wishing, and wishing doesn't change reality. Becoming changes reality. I remember when I was first exposed to this concept. I was working at a department store, making minimum wage, struggling to make ends meet. I had dreams, sure. I wanted a better life for my family. I wanted financial freedom. I wanted to make a difference. But I was approaching it all wrong. I was asking for more money without becoming more valuable. I was hoping for a better position without developing better skills. I was wishing for success without becoming successful in my mind and actions first. And then Mr. Shove came into my life and turned my thinking upside down, or I should say, right side up. He taught me that the key to having more was becoming more. He introduced me to books, to ideas, to a whole new way of thinking. And as I began to grow, to develop myself, to become more, my outer world started to reflect my inner world. My income grew because I grew. Here's a question for you. If you took better care of your health, what would happen? You'd have better health. If you developed more skills, what would happen? You'd have more opportunities. If you became a more loving, patient, understanding person, what would happen to your relationships? They'd improve. See, it's not magic, it's cause and effect. You don't get what you want, you get what you deserve. And you deserve what you become. That's why personal development isn't optional for a successful life. It's essential. Let me give you a personal example. Early in my career, I desperately wanted to make enough money to pay my bills without stress. That was my focus. But as I began to work on myself, to study success principles, to develop my skills, I started making more than enough to pay the bills. And something interesting happened. My focus shifted from just paying bills to creating wealth, making a difference, leaving a legacy. My desires evolved as I evolved. And I believe that's how it's supposed to work. As you become more, you desire better. Not just more stuff, but better contribution, better impact, better meaning. Now, I want to address something that might be going through some of your minds. You might be thinking, Jim, this all sounds great, but what about circumstances beyond my control? What about the economy, or my background, or the opportunities available to me? These are fair questions, and yes, external circumstances do matter. Some people start with advantages that others don't have. Some face challenges that others don't face. I acknowledge that reality. But here's what I've found. While circumstances influence your starting point, they don't have to determine your destination. Your becoming is more powerful than your circumstances. The person you become can overcome, adapt to, and even transform your circumstances. I've seen people from the humblest beginnings rise to extraordinary success through the power of personal development. I've seen people face tremendous adversity and not just survive but thrive because they focused on becoming stronger, wiser, more resilient. The circumstance didn't define them, their response to it did. Here's a powerful truth. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can control who you become in response to what happens to you. And who you become determines what you attract next. Think about that for a moment. Even when life doesn't go as planned, even when you face setbacks and challenges, you still have the power to choose who you'll become in response. Will you become bitter or better? Will you become a victim or a victor? Will you become someone who gives up or someone who grows up? Those choices about who you'll become are always yours, and they are far more important than the circumstances themselves because they shape what you'll attract next in your life journey. Now, let me share a principle that has guided me throughout my life, the principle of service. The more you give, the more you receive. The more value you create for others, the more value returns to you. Not always immediately, not always directly, but inevitably. This is a demonstration of the you attract what you are principle. When you become a giver, you attract receiving. When you become valuable to others, you attract value in return. When you become a problem solver, you attract opportunities. It's not mystical, it's mathematical. What you put out comes back, often multiplied. But here's what's crucial. You can't fake it. You can't give just to get. You can't serve just to be seen. You have to genuinely become a giver, a servant, a value creator. Your motives matter because they shape who you truly are, not just what you do. And remember, you attract what you are, not what you pretend to be. Let's talk about another aspect of this principle, your environment. The people you spend time with, the information you consume, the places you go, all of these influence who you become and, therefore, what you attract. If you want to become successful, spend time with successful people. If you want to become positive, surround yourself with positive people. If you want to become knowledgeable, immerse yourself in knowledge. Your environment isn't everything, but it's a significant factor in shaping who you become. I always say, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's because those people influence your thinking, your beliefs, your standards, your behaviors. They contribute to your becoming, which determines your attracting. So, take a look at your environment. Is it supporting the person you want to become? Is it full of people who challenge you to grow? Information that expands your thinking? Experiences that stretch your capabilities? If not, it might be time for some changes. Now, I want to talk about patience. Becoming takes time. It's not an overnight process. It's day-by-day growth, decision-by-decision improvement, habit-by-habit transformation. Don't expect to become a different person in a week or a month. But also, don't underestimate how much you can change in a year, or 5 years, or a decade. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can become in a year. Be patient with the process, but be relentless in your commitment to it. The person you become isn't determined by occasional bursts of inspiration, but by consistent, daily choices to grow, to learn, to improve. Remember, the goal isn't to become someone else. It's to become the best version of yourself. You already have unique gifts, talents, perspectives. Personal development isn't about erasing who you are. It's about enhancing who you are, refining who you are, becoming who you were meant to be. And as you become that best version of yourself, you naturally attract the circumstances, opportunities, people, and resources that align with who you've become. Not because you're manipulating the universe, but because you're cooperating with it. You're aligning yourself with the natural laws that govern success and fulfillment. Let me tell you something powerful. The moment you decide to take responsibility for who you become is the moment you take control of what you attract. Not complete control. There will always be unexpected elements in life, but significant control. Enough control to change your destiny. I've seen this transformation happen time and time again. People who are struggling financially become wealthy, not just through better money strategies, but through becoming more disciplined, more skilled, more valuable. People with broken relationships build beautiful ones, not just through relationship techniques, but through becoming more loving, more understanding, more giving. People with health challenges create vibrant well-being, not just through diet plans, but through becoming more mindful, more consistent, more self-caring. The becoming precedes the having. The inner change precedes the outer change. The personal growth precedes the life growth. Now, as we begin to wrap up our time together, I want to leave you with a challenge. Take out a piece of paper. Do it right now if you can, and write at the top, to have what I want, I need to become. Then make a list of the qualities, skills, mindsets, habits, and characteristics you need to develop. Be specific. Be honest. Don't write what you think you should write. Write what you truly need to become. Then prioritize that list. What's the one quality that would make the biggest difference right now? What's the one skill that would open the most doors? What's the one habit that would create the most positive change? Start there. Focus on becoming that. Remember, you don't have to do it all at once. Just start. Take the first step. Read the first book. Have the first conversation. Make the first change. As the saying goes, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Your journey of becoming begins with a single choice. And here's the beautiful thing. As you begin to change, as you begin to become more, you'll start attracting different circumstances. Those new circumstances will create new opportunities for growth, which will lead to more becoming, which will attract more new circumstances. It's an upward spiral of growth and attraction. But it all starts with accepting this fundamental principle. You attract what you are, not what you want. When you embrace this truth, you stop wasting energy on wishing and start investing energy in becoming. And that's when your life begins to transform. Let me leave you with this thought. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the commitment to lifelong growth. Not growth for the sake of getting more stuff or gaining more status, but growth for the sake of becoming who you were created to be, fulfilling your potential, making your unique contribution to the world. Because when you focus on becoming all you can be, you naturally attract all you need to have. Your outer world becomes a reflection of your inner world. Your circumstances become a reflection of your character. Your having becomes a reflection of your being. So, my friends, go forth and become. Become more skilled, become more knowledgeable, become more disciplined, become more loving, become more giving, become more. Everything that aligns with the life you want to attract. And trust that as you do, as you transform who you are, your life will transform too. Thank you for your time today. Remember, success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. Now, go become all you were meant to be.